Steve Byrd was the most successful crew chief in the history of the Busch Series. 4 championships. The first with budding superstar Rob Moroso in 1989, and then 3 in a row with Base Motorsports and drivers Johnny Benson in 1995 and Randy LaJoie in 1996 and 97. There are 6 crew chiefs currently in the NASCAR Hall of Fame, all for achievements at the Cup level. The man they call Birdie died recently after a long battle with cancer. In his memory, let's make him the first Busch Series crew chief enshrined in those hallowed halls. He deserves it. Steve Byrd first went Winston Cup racing with Race Hill Farms in the late 1970s after being recommended for the gig by fellow New Englander Bob Johnson. Bob could turn wrenches with the best of them, and he also had a legendary temper.
Bob was a great guy. He had a heart of gold, but he'd get mad, let me tell you. I tell you one thing, we were going to a race, I think it was Charlotte, matter of fact, and we were working late at night. It had to be about 11 o'clock or something at night, and Bob's back there trying to get the motor done. So me and a couple other guys, and Jack Beebe, he's in there helping us, wanting stuff to do, help out. So Jack says, what do you want me to do next, Birdie? I said, well, Jack, take that lead and put it in that frame rail there. He said, okay. So I went up, was doing something out the front of the shop, and I heard some banging, real loud banging. So I walked back there, and there's Jack with a sledgehammer. He's trying to pound this lead in. I said, oh, no. I says, wow. All of a sudden, Bob Johnson comes out of the motor room. He says, what's that banging? And he sees the sledgehammer, and he looks down at the front, and there's a piece of lead hanging right out, And Bob says, is that stuck? I says, yeah. He says, you know better than that, you son of a bitch. You didn't. He hollered and screamed at me and called me every name in the book. He picked that sledgehammer up, and he threw it, and it went right through the wall into the bus company and landed about 4 foot from Jack's brand new Rolls Royce. So that's okay.
Rolls Royce.
So Bob runs back into the motor room. Jack's looking at me because I'm looking at him. I'm saying to myself, why don't you say something? He looks at me. He says, don't worry, Birdie. He says, I'll tell him tomorrow it was me. I said, damn. Meanwhile, I get my ass chewed out, and we probably get it all morning, night, and to the morning,
Race Hill Farms opened the 1979 season with rookie Jeff Bodine, and even got the young driver to the top of the leaderboard a couple of times for a total of 6 laps in the Daytona 500. But after just 3 races together, Jeff was out of there, literally, at Atlanta.
Jeff was always a person that he was dedicated, totally dedicated. And you put somebody like that with somebody like Bob Johnson, it just didn't mix. I had to listen to Jeff working on the cars, and here's Bob Johnson hollering at me about the cars and everything. The power steering thing, that was a big deal there, and before we went to Daytona, But we put it on, Bob didn't like it, but put it on. And we run good there at Daytona. I think we were leading and blew up or something there, Went to the next race, Rockingham, and we run decent, not too good and everything, but we blew up. Went to Atlanta, and we just were out to lunch. We were totally junk. And Johnson and Jeff, they started arguing with each other, arguing, And it's tough because there's a couple of us in the middle of it, It's just what we had to go through. The little race started and everything, and, Jeff's out there running. He says, man, I'm coming in. You got to do something. I can't drive this thing. And Bob is hollering, keep going till the yellow. And, Jeff says, man, I got to come in, And then all of a sudden Jack comes on the race. He says, just keep going to the yellow. Come in and we'll change something. And all of a sudden we're looking around, and the car ain't out there. What the hell happened? So it ain't there. We went down to the pits, and there's the car sitting there, and Jeff's gone and everything. And that was it. That was the last we seen of Jeff.
At the time, the race team was located in Madison, Connecticut, a 20-hour drive from Daytona and 12 or so from the Charlotte-Mooresville area, where most of the other NASCAR teams were located. Just getting to the track was a chore, much less trying to race once it got there.
It was tough. It was real tough because, it'd be, 4 or 5 of us jump in that truck and we'd go, And we'd get there, we'd dead tigers. We drove all night or something and worked our butt off in the race car all day. And, it was what, 1.5 years, 2 years we did it out of Connecticut. And, boy, when they said we were going to move south, I said, thank God.
August 2nd, 1981. All that effort paid off at Talladega.
Remember a lot about it because, man, it was just a hillbilly team from New England, Nobody ever thought we could do it, And it was just a thrill of life because coming down that front straightaway, how going through that turn there and going to that start finish, which is in the first turn, we just didn't know. We knew it was close. And then all of a sudden they said Ron Busch had won, and wow, what a feeling that was, just about a total New England team,
Were you able to see him make the move, or was he still in third place when he came through the tri-oval?
He was still in third place, but you could see Darrell running Terry up the racetrack, and I said, boy, what's going to happen here? And then all of a sudden you hear the big cheers, and we didn't know, and finally they said Ron Bouchard wins. It was good. It was something I never expected, really. Like I said, we were just a New England race team.
David Ift brought Birdie south for a brief stint with team owner Bobby Hawkins and the legendary David Pearson. Ift is one of the greatest storytellers and characters in the history of NASCAR. Everybody from that era has a story about David, and here's Birdie's.
One of Bobby Hawkins' good friends, I can't remember his name, he bought a limousine, and we painted it pink. It had bull horns on the front and a big cooler in the back. So we'd have a driver drive us around everywhere. And there was about 5 of us. I think David was with us, Pearson. And we went to some little dirt track in this...
in the pink Cadillac.
In the pink Cadillac.
In the pink limo.
Bull horns in the front.
With David Pearson.
Yeah, and it had a song that come over a loudspeaker, Chattanooga Chew, this and that. It was a song. And it must have been introductions to the race. It was just starting or something. But we pulled out, and we pulled on that racetrack and started going around the track slow. And there's all the people cheering this pink Cadillac, And we get around, all the way around back, come in the gate and everything into the pits. And all of a sudden there's a police are there and the officials, They see it was David, and they says, well, okay, and they let us go. So we just packed it and went up in the stands and watched the race,
Birdie returned to Race Hill Farms, but not long afterward got his first job as a crew chief with young Rob Moroso. Together, they captured 3 straight Busch Series wins at Charlotte and the 1989 championship.
I was just a kid from New Hampshire, to do that, and not many people have ever done it, and it meant a lot. A lot of friends from up home, New England racing, they cheered us all on and everything, and it was really, really a proud moment.
A terrible decision to drive under the influence of alcohol cost Moroso his life in October 1990 in an accident that also killed the driver of another vehicle. To this day, Moroso's death remains one of the sport's most heartbreaking what-if tragedies.
You know, you just can't watch everything they do. You know, he had such a great future going for him, and it was just a shame what happened.
Several years before they worked together at Base Motorsports, Randy LaJoie discovered the hard way that you didn't want to mess with Steve Bird. You might get him with a gotcha, but he was going to get you back.
You know, there I was welding away, aluminum welding and going, and all of a sudden Randy got this sledgehammer and he hit that table. Damn, it scared the hell out of me. You know? And so that's all right. You know, the day went on. So about 5 o'clock, we're never out of beer at Rusty's shop, Rusty Wallace's shop, you know. But I says to Randy, Randy, you're the new guy around. I had him in building a show car. And I says, you're the one that goes buys the beer. He says, okay. So here he goes, jumps in his truck, starts taking off, and you had to park like this and up high and go out to the exit, and as soon as he took off and turned a little corner, all 4 wheels pop off. You know? And everybody was sitting right at the door watching because it was dark out.
Yeah.
You know, it was wintertime. So he took it pretty good.
It was with Base Motorsports team owner Bill Baumgardner and drivers Johnny Benson and LaJoie that Steve Bird found his greatest successes. 3 straight championships, 12 wins, and the respect of an entire garage. For Birdie, it was all about the people on the team.
You know, I got some good guys working there, and Bill let us do what we wanted to do, what we needed to do, what we thought we needed to do, and things just worked out. I can't say enough for the guys that I had working for me. They all worked hard. Kind of after the Winston Cup stuff, where we worked all night all the time and everything, I kind of made my mind up all the time, and we did it most of the time. We very few times have we ever worked past 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Any team I worked for, you know, I always told the guys, hey, let's start at 7:30, work your butts off, work till 5. We got a life at home. Let's go do it.
Steve Bird will be remembered as one of the good guys and one of the best to ever pick up a wrench in the Busch Series. A NASCAR Hall of Famer, if ever there was one.